Hi, welcome. My name is Shamie Shone, and here's some advice I bet you didn't even know you needed. Today, we're going to talk about what we don't know. One of my favorite sayings is, I bet you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it. So, as a part of our personal and professional development, let's take some time to get to understand and know what it is. One of my favorite quotes on knowing is by Donald Rumsfeld. Donald Rumsfeld once said, former U.S. Senator, there are known knowns. There are things we know that we know. There are known unknowns. That is to say, there are things that we know we don't know, but there are also unknown unknowns. These are things we don't know we don't know. That's what this program is about, finding out what we don't know so we can learn it, get up to speed, and be better. I have 3 steps you can take along with 5 tips that will help you increase and develop your critical decision-making skills. Having critical decision-making skills will allow you to identify all outcomes of a potential decision. Plus, it will help you formulate your SMART goals. Using a defined decision-making process is one way to think through the consequences of various decision-making options. I tell you what is not a negative consequence. You liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting on this video. I've got 2 objectives for you today with my 3 questions and my 5 tips on increasing our critical decision-making skills. Our objectives are to identify all possible outcomes before implementing a decision, and 2, recognize the potential and negative outcomes of a decision. So make sure you like, subscribe, share, and comment, and let's get into it. Our decision-making process is all about outcomes. Learning to develop your skills and abilities when considering different options and consequences of those options will again help you build your leadership skills and help you know that you are on the right track for your SMART goals, plus make you more confident in the decisions that you come to. You know, decision making can be scary for some people, and sometimes when it has to deal with major life options and consequences, we can come up against a wall because we might not know if we need to go left or right in our decision process. So hopefully with this video that you've liked, subscribed to, and shared and commented on will help you out some. Or maybe you know somebody who is a little wishy-washy in their decision making. Maybe you can send this to them. So let's get to it. First, we'll start with the 3 steps to better decision making. Step 1 in our decision making process to help us increase our critical thinking skills is to think about the future. We want to begin with the end in mind. So we definitely want to have a very vivid picture. So thinking about the future, what would things really look like? What would I be doing differently? What would others be doing differently? And who would be positively impacted by these decisions? Because we definitely want our decisions to have a positive impact. Now, we know that not all decisions are always going to be made for a possible positive outcome. Sometimes we have to be realistic and know that some decisions that we are going to make are going to negatively impact others. But that's where we weigh the pros and cons in. For today, we're just learning the basic steps of developing our critical decision making skills. And by the first step, we begin to think about the future. And again, if this decision were implemented, what would things really look like? What would I be doing differently? What would others be doing differently? And who would be positively impacted? Step 2 is to create a clear picture with as much detail as possible. We want to have clarity. We want to create a mental picture of what the future situation would look like if the decisions were implemented. Clarity. Gotta write it down. Everything. Have to have a vision. So step 2, again, is to create a clear picture, and step 1 is to think about the future. And step 3 to develop critical decision-making skills is to ask yourself, is this a good idea? So based on everything you've thought about, is the decision still a good one? Even with some potential negative outcomes, will the decision solve for the issue in the best way possible and create the greatest benefit for all people involved? If yes, then you're basically ready to make your decision. If no, you might need to go back to the drawing board. You might need to look at some other options, think of some other outcomes, and determine if there's another solution that would be a better decision. All right, I'm sure you went ahead and liked, subscribed, shared, and even commented by now. So just to recap, we are asking ourselves, what are the 3 steps in developing our critical decision-making skills? Those steps are to identify what the future is going to look like after this decision. The next one is to create a clear picture, because we're going to have clarity. And then the third one is it a good idea? So now that we have those covered, let's go on to portion 2 of this video. If I'm going to give you 3 steps on critical decision making, I also have to give you some tips on critical thinking. So 5 tips that I have for you on developing your critical thinking so you can help develop your critical decision making skills are as follows. We're not going to have effective critical decision making skills if we don't have some tips on thinking critically. When we're thinking critically, we kind of want to think negatively because we want to criticize all the options. So the first thing we need to do is to formulate our questions. Is it this? Is it that? Is it black? Is it white? Or are there gray areas? So here we might also need to gather our information. There's nothing wrong with research. Just make sure you stay on track with what it is that you need to research. Then you need to apply the information. What concepts exist? What assumptions do you already have? Is there interpretation of the information that is factual or not factual? Because there's a lot of false news out there. You also need to consider the implications and then explore other points of view, because our point of view is not the only one. And the 5 tips on improving your critical thinking, just a quick recap. Formulate your questions, gather your information, apply the information, consider the implications, and explore new points of view. Well, I hope you enjoyed all the information, and I hope that you'll be able to utilize it for your personal and professional development, where we went over the 3 steps on critical decision making and then 5 tips on developing our critical thinking skills. I hope you did like, subscribe, share, and comment. Thanks for watching. Keep on liking, and as always, I appreciate you.